Hey guys, enter the stars. And we have The Arrival in. And this movie is simply fascinating. Spoilage alert. In a film about deja vu, time loops, and the arrival of an alien species. Now, there is deception in this film, and we will get into that. But in the opening scenes, we see cancer as her daughter gets cancer. Now, this is unbelievable because everything we've been telling you is about the year 69, which is the symbol for cancer. We are 69 years since 1947, since Roswell, New Mexico. And in this scene, this man says the words, "First Contact." We just covered the film First Contact. Now, I have not seen this film, Arrival. This is the first time I've seen it. In all of the coverage that we've done of the 69 cancer, First Contact films, and all of that was before this movie came out, which tells me that we are in the front row seat of something amazing. Now, this is the actual spacecraft, and as you can see, it mimics the convex lens of your eye. Now, this is the convex lens of your eye, and this is everything, again, we've been talking about on this channel, as the convex lens becomes the shape of the Earth. The water droplet, the convex contact lens sitting atop a tabletop within the inner eye, looking up into the firmament, the inside walls of the eye. And here it is on display in this film, The Arrival. And this is unbelievable because there are many more themes running throughout this film that point back to all the research that we've done. Now, when they enter this lens every 18 hours, they call it a shell. This square opens, and this square represents the cube, but also the hexagon. This is a cube hexagon, which is the same exact structure at the center of the lens of your eye, as you can see here. This is the cross section of the lens of your eye, and look in the lower left corner, and there's your hexagon honeycomb matrix, which also presents as a four-sided cube. And this is unbelievable because they also show the canary in the cube in case we didn't understand what they were trying to show us. Now, I've only got screenshots because if I show any footage from this film, it will result in some type of copyright notification, and I want to make sure as many people see this as possible because there is a deception in the film. Now, in this particular scene, the man quotes 144 member cult. Now, a 144 member cult that apparently were killed themselves or something because they thought this cube was somehow the end of the world or something like that, if I can remember correctly. And the significance of 144 is 12 times 12. You have 12 pairs of intracranial nerves, and there just so happens to be also 12 ships around the world in this film. 12 intracranial nerves times 12 is 144, and your brain was the map by which God would prove that he is the true living God. He mapped it out in our flesh suits so that we could one day, through the increase in knowledge, discover who he is. Now, I got a lot of heat in this next scene with this Ouroboros, calling this out for what it was, when nobody knew that this film would be about time loops and deja vu. And yet, we called it out, and we were called crazy because we said this was an Ouroboros. In other words, a snake eating its tail, basically meaning the devil's time loop. Now, in this movie, the deception is that they try to compare this time loop to infinity and God, that they know the beginning from the end, and the devil does not know the beginning from the end. But this is what they want you to think. Now, in this scene, she wants the aliens to see her. Now, this is a reference to the eye as well. So she takes off her protective gear and her protective clothing, and she approaches the glass to see these aliens every 18 hours. They're allowed to come into the ship and converse and try to solve the alien language. This is all about the alien language. Now she puts her hand up here, and it's significant that she is a woman because what we're seeing here is exactly what we just covered 2 months ago, that the Ouroboros, the snake eating the egg, is actually the fallopian tube. We covered the female sexual anatomy, the fallopian tubes. We even showed how Ophia means serpent, and we showed a snake eating an egg. We also decoded the Ohio Serpent Mound as being indicative of the fallopian tube, the fall of man. Again, the curse encoded within our flesh suit every month as the fimbriae, the finger-like projections from the fallopian tubes, seduce the egg into its tube, and through a mechanism of peristalsis, consumes the egg. It is the serpent eating the dust. It is the Ouroboros. So a woman standing in front of that glass as the hand projects forward into a fallopian tube is exactly what they were trying to show us in this film. Now, here they show the woman in the center between the two fallopian tubes, matching again the anatomy of the body. Now, this isn't a knock on women, because men too have their flesh suit encoded with its curse, which is the serpent, with the ring, born with a ring around its neck. Saturn's ring, Chronos, time. It's like the cobra with the fat neck that needs to be circumcised, which is why the priests had to be circumcised. Now this goes on, because these creatures are called heptapods. They have 7 legs and 7 fingers. 7 times 7 is 49. And that is the magic number at which your pineal gland develops in utero. That is the point where you get your spiritual connection to God and you become a person. Now they don't leave you guessing, because in this scene he actually says that their writing is the formula for time. And again, there's deja vu moments. She sees the future reflecting back into her current consciousness. The aliens tell her that she needs to use it to save them, use her weapon of time, which is what she does, which we'll talk about soon. These are the canopic jars. They send one down. It becomes a spaceship for her to get into, to get back into the ship after it leaves the ground. And it's a canopic jar because of the black goo, which is what they use to communicate. The black goo is the DNA. It is what holds the memory of time. Now, she enters the ship through this canopic jar. We saw this in the film Prometheus. These canopic jars line the inside walls of the spaceship in Prometheus, and they are the ancient pharaonic canopic jars because they hold the black goo, the DNA of all the reduced down DNA of their vital organs, so that one day they could be reanimated and trump time. And when she goes in, she's in a watery environment, like she's in the womb. And her hair is flowing around like she's in the water. And then it talks about the death process as the alien is translated, that Abbott is the death process because she asks where Abbott is. Now, there's something about the amniotic fluid, because the word amnesia is also amnio. It means to forget, amnesia. But in this case, it's not the devil's version. It's forgetting where we came from and forgetting heaven. And Louise sees the future. That's her. They tell her that she can see the future. Again, this is satanic, Luciferian ideas mixed with truth. So the devil can try to be like the Most High and subvert and hijack the true knowledge. The true knowledge is we've forgotten that our body encodes the entire truth about God. It proves God. The aliens then tell her that the weapons open time, which is her ability to remember the future and the past in the present. Now, everything is about to go to war because the world is paranoid that these aliens mean them harm. So she uses her ability to see into the future. But before she does, all the ships turn sideways, just like the inner convex lens of the eye. It's the exact shape, you guys. They all turn sideways, showing the true nature of what they're representing. It is no longer a shell. It is now something else. Now, this goes on because in this scene, Hannah, her future daughter, she says, "Mommy, what is special about my name?" She goes, "Your name is a palindrome. It reads the same frontwards and backwards." And how many times on this channel we talked about Soros, his name being frontward and backward the same, and changing words frontwards and backwards to find the meanings of these words. It's all in this film, you guys. And in this scene, they talk about nonlinear time if you learn the language. And she presents to them a gift. She says the aliens have brought them a gift that if they learn the language of these aliens, that they will start to see time in a non-linear fashion, which is what she's doing in the entire movie, trying to learn the language. And that's how she sees glimpses of the future. And this is the deception, you guys. We are not to be learning the language of the enemy, learning what they want us to do. We simply must remember where we came from in this reality. And in the final moments, she averts world war by remembering the words of a Chinese general from the future and calling him, he is the one who is the aggressor in this, calling him and repeating those words in Chinese that averts the war in the present. And that is the end of this film, you guys. We are on the right track. We understand what we're dealing with here. We understand the deception that is mixed in with the truth. And God of our universe already knows the end from the beginning, the true end from the beginning, not stuck in the Ouroboros prison of the sands of time. Take care and be safe, you guys.